I've been documenting the war in Ukraine since the very beginning. Started in Kiev, then was in the first winter of the war, Bakhmut, for the battle there. At this time, I was back for 1 month in the Donbas. The Donbas region is in the east of Ukraine, bordering Russia, which has invaded and unilaterally annexed large parts of the area in recent years. There was the huge counter-offensive last summer, and it was an absolute unmitigated disaster for the Ukrainians. There's no other way to describe it. They lost tens of thousands of men, equipment. Not much territory was liberated in the end. Then the Russians started to attack last winter and started eating up territory. And Ukraine was basically hanging on by the skin of its teeth for the last 7-8 months. Finally, that aid package went through and the weapons started to arrive. Over the last few years of filming, I've gotten to know some of the Ukrainian soldiers very well. Especially this one lieutenant, Vasil. After the Russian invasion in February 2022, his family had to flee as refugees.
I have a wife and 3 children. They're in Ireland now. It was very difficult, but in the end they managed to get out of the territory occupied by Russia. Ireland was the farthest point in Europe away from the war where they could be sent to.
And I was also kind of almost like a postman between the family. The wife and kids would make drawings and mementos, and wife would write letters, and after I'd interview her, I'd bring those letters to Vasil, and then he'd give me, I don't know, bullet casings or something to give to the kids from the front line. And I'd also film with Vasil. And upon returning to Ireland and going up to Leitrim, I would show the kids the footage of their dad in action.
Papa!
We really like it here. I wouldn't mind staying here, but my husband, he doesn't want to. The kids would also like to return home to Ukraine. Of course they miss their dad. And they're very proud of him.
To see the kids' face every time I come back and show them footage of their father being a hero, gave me a good feeling inside to be doing something at least. It's really a game of meters and inches war, but there's no good news coming from the front line in Ukraine at the moment. They've been hanging on by the skin of their teeth. I've seen this war evolve since the very beginning, since Kiev 2022, and it's changed. Last summer was large-scale mechanized war. I mean, there was infantry, machines, tanks, aviation, everything going at each other on fixed lines. It's not like that anymore. It's purely a drone war now.
Into Tourette's now. Only about 3 kilometers from the Russians, apparently. To say I'm nervous is a bit of an understatement.
When we were in the Donbas, we were attached to the 95th Air Assault Brigade, which is one of Ukraine's elite brigades. They were sent in to stabilize the situation in a town called Touretsk. And we were there with the FPV drone guys. We were attached to an FPV drone team. It's a highly strategic town. If the Russians manage to take this, they can effectively straighten their own front line and cut the major highway between the 3 Ukrainian cities of the Donbas that they still hold, which is their logistics hub for their eastern front. On our first day, we went in under the cover of darkness because it's too dangerous to go in at any other time. Our driver is driving with the night vision monocular goggle to see the roads. Then we're finally dropped off just on the outskirts of Tourette's town. Then we had to march our way through a forest just as the sun was coming up. The morning is when all the targets that were required through the night are bombed. So the sun comes up, it's like the signal for all hell breaking loose. Artillery flying over our heads, aviation flying over, dropping bombs a kilometre or two away from us. It's just the noise of it is insane. We were sitting in a bush waiting for our pickup, and I have this this little device. It's a drone detector. It's attached to my body armour, and it buzzes, and it tells you what type of drone is in the air and how far away it is from you.
Orlan.
And the first buzz, it says Orlan. An Orlan is an observation drone, fixed wing. Observation reconnaissance drone. And normally when you get an Orlan, that's normally followed by artillery, because the Orlan coordinates with the artillery teams and then fires artillery on the coordinates that the Orlan gives them.
2 times or 3 times?
4 times.
Orlan means it's very close. It's Orlan above us.
It's really close. So we were all like, okay, maybe they've spotted us. Maybe they're, you know, hunting us. So let's take cover and hide. And there was no real cover around, but just to go deeper into the bush. And the next one, bzz, FPV, first person view. The racing drones, the suicide kamikaze drones. And when we all saw FPV, we were like, Jesus, oh God. We start to hear the buzz. And it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. We just turn and dive straight deeper into the bush, throw ourselves in.
Holy shit.
If that thing hits a branch, it will detonate, and hopefully the shrapnel will be eaten by some trees or whatever.
Fuck it, was it an FPV?
Yes, it was FPV, but friendly.
Oh, fuck. Woo!
Thankfully, it was a friendly drone, so yeah. With the way this war is going and the way I see future wars going, it won't be fireworks that triggers PTSD. It will be the sound of a fan or mosquitoes flying past your ear. It's that buzz, that terrifying buzz that you know you can't escape from. The only thing that kept Ukraine in the game was its development of its drone warfare. But now Russia has also started getting involved in the FPV, first-person view drone game as well. They've got millions of them now from China, cheap ones made. So now for every 1 Ukrainian drone team, there's 18 Russian drone teams. So the sky is just abuzz with the sound of drones. It's like mosquitoes in the air. I met one of the pilots in the 3rd Assault Brigade. He's actually born and raised in Dublin from Rathmines to Ukrainian parents, but he's a dub through and through.
So I'm from Dublin, Ireland. Lived there my whole life. Grew up there. In 2023, start of 2023, I arrived to Ukraine.
Irland's time as an Irishman fighting in Ukraine has helped shape his view of Ireland's defence policy.
War is brutal, and unfortunately it's a thing that comes at a time where you least expect it, and that Ireland says it's neutral can backfire. So in my opinion, Ireland needs to do like a big reality check.
He's only a young fella, he's only 20. He's telling me all his war stories, and it's quite shocking to hear.
So I have a few friends from 18 to 23 that lost their life in this war. When someone dies for this cause, it's a person giving the most what they have in their life. Like at the end of the day, the most valuable thing you have as a human being is your life. And those people who died, unfortunately, gave that for this country.
I got a message from another friend of mine, soldier, that Vasil, the lieutenant, was killed in action in Toretsk. Vasil was killed by a combination of FPV drones and artillery coordinated by drones. I know his wife and kids. They've since returned to Ukraine, but for 2022 and 2023, they were refugees in Leitrim, in Balnamore. So to learn that Vasil was killed in action, very close to where I was currently getting the message, I never thought it would happen to Vasil. He's, one, he's an absolute unit of a man. He's the type of fella that when he's around you feel safe. Just a leader of leaders kind of dude. And I was very conscious of my own mortality after that, and thinking about Natalia, his wife, and his kids, and what they must be feeling. It made me think about my own wife, and my wife's pregnant, and what would it be like for my wife to lose me. We've got to the point now where tens of thousands of Ukrainian men have died, and it's a numbers game at the end of the day, and Ukraine unfortunately doesn't have the luxury that Russia has of numbers. Things are looking pretty hopeless at the moment, but I think it's important, and it's important to tell these stories.